Hi everyone, watch as a skilled craftsman transforms a massive log into a stunning handmade canoe, using simple tools and a whole lot of patience. This isn't just woodworking, it's art in motion. From rough cuts to a smooth, water-ready finish, you won't believe the result. Let's dive into this incredible journey of craftsmanship and creativity. His ambition to carve a canoe and paddle down the river aligns with the storied past of dugout canoes. These were used by explorers and indigenous peoples for transportation and exploration. Moreover, he will be collaborating with Churchill Clark, a descendant of Captain William Clark from the Lewis and Clark expedition. The journey begins with the selection of the tree, a decision that would shape the entire canoe building process. Historically, indigenous peoples and explorers meticulously chose tree species based on availability, workability, and durability. Cottonwood, initially selected for this project, has been a traditional choice due to its lightweight properties and ease of carving. However, due to size limitations, the project shifted to using a Douglas fir, a species known for its strength and straight grain. Douglas fir, often used in construction for its resilience, introduced a new dimension to the project. Unlike softer woods traditionally used, it required a combination of traditional and modern tools to manage its robust nature. Sourced from a sawmill, the selected log weighed an imposing 10,000 pounds, symbolizing the ambition and scale of the project. The first stage of construction involved preparing the log by flattening one side to create the canoe's base. Churchill's experience guided the design, ensuring the optimal orientation of the log. With the bottom flattened, the log was flipped repeatedly during the process. Chainsaws made initial rough cuts, hollowing out the interior of the log. This step required precision and care to remove the first wedge of wood. As the hollowing progressed, the adze was introduced to refine the interior. This traditional tool allowed for greater control and connection to the historical methods of canoe crafting. The hollowing was an iterative process, as layer by layer, the interior was deepened and shaped. These required constant evaluations to ensure even thickness and symmetry throughout. Each flip revealed areas that needed further refinement, and the process gradually became easier as material was removed. This way, the team could reduce the log's weight. This painstaking work echoed the labor-intensive efforts of early canoe builders. Once the rough interior was hollowed, the focus shifted to shaping the exterior. The stern and bow lines were marked and trimmed, gradually revealing the canoe's elegant curves. This stage required iterative refinement, as each cut brought the canoe closer to its final form. The use of the log wizard smoothed the outer surface and removed knots. Meanwhile, Churchill's expertise ensured that the vessel maintained both aesthetic appeal and functionality. Indeed, symmetry was a critical focus during this stage. Uneven edges or misaligned curves could compromise the canoe's performance. To address that, every adjustment was measured and rechecked. The team's collaborative approach allowed them to balance structural integrity with aesthetic considerations. To achieve perfect symmetry, the team employed a combination of visual assessment and precise measurement tools. This process was also iterative, as each refinement revealed subtler asymmetries. With the use of axes, these were corrected layer by layer. This painstaking attention to detail ensured that the canoe would not only perform optimally on the water, it also presents a visually striking appearance. As the shaping progressed, the canoe's curves began to emerge more prominently, reflecting the care and precision. Meanwhile, preserving the wood is always an ongoing battle against time and environmental factors. Douglas fir, while robust and naturally decay-resistant, is highly prone to cracking as it dries. To mitigate this, the team adopted a proactive approach, applying oil daily to prevent the wood from losing moisture too rapidly. This process relied heavily on second-hand oil stains, a sustainable choice that aligned with the project's ethos of resourcefulness. The frequent oiling maintains the wood's flexibility while minimizing the appearance of stress fractures. Without this intervention, rapid drying could have compromised the structural integrity of the canoe. As you saw before, particular attention was given to knots and other vulnerable points. These areas were saturated with oil to create a protective barrier, ensuring that they remained intact. Thanks to this, the equipment can continue to work the wood without fear of breakage throughout the entire process. Traditionally, axes and adzes were the primary tools used by indigenous canoe builders and early explorers. They allowed them to shape logs with precision and control. These tools, which have been employed for millennia, offered a tactile connection to the material. They enable artisans to feel the wood's grain and respond to its natural contours. In fact, one particularly challenging aspect of the axe work was navigating the knots and dense fibers of the Douglas fir. Unlike softer woods traditionally used for canoes, Douglas fir required precise strikes to avoid splintering. The axe's versatility allowed the team to adapt their approach as they encountered these natural imperfections. Incorporating axe work into the process not only honors historical methods, it also adds a layer of authenticity to the canoe, leaving some visible marks left by the axe on certain sections of the wood. But these marks cannot be left unattended, as some flotation problems may occur. As the process progressed, finer grit sandpaper was employed to achieve a smoother finish. On the exterior, the sanding helped to optimize the canoe's hydrodynamics, ensuring it could glide efficiently through water. Also, by carefully smoothing the wood, the team reveals the natural beauty of the Douglas fir. The ends of the canoe, both the bow and stern, are emptied to ensure smooth water displacement when moving. Solid, heavy ends would disrupt the natural flow of water around the canoe, creating turbulence or resistance. By hollowing these sections, the canoe maintains better stability and glides through the water more efficiently. Also, hollowing the ends ensures consistent directionality, making it easier to paddle in a straight line or in currents. The final trimming of excess wood, particularly at the bow and stern, is essential for achieving the canoe's hydrodynamic shape. These adjustments aim to refine the canoe's profile, reducing drag and allowing water to flow smoothly along its surface. A sharp and clean bow, for instance, minimizes water resistance, enabling the canoe to slice through the water effortlessly. Careful attention is paid to symmetry, as even small imbalances can cause the canoe to veer off course or create resistance. The team repeatedly tests the contours, ensuring that each adjustment enhances the canoe's ability to glide smoothly. Historically, canoe builders understood the importance of this final shaping phase. Indigenous communities and early explorers would often test their canoes in shallow waters. They made iterative adjustments until the vessel achieved the desired performance. By removing excess wood, they optimized both speed and stability, vital for navigating long distances or challenging waterways. But as we watch how they finish refining the wood, there is one very important fact to keep in mind. Before a dugout canoe is ready for use, the wood must be conditioned to handle prolonged exposure to water. This treatment process enhances its durability and improves its hydrodynamic performance by addressing how it reacts to moisture. As the canoe adjusts to its environment, water helps to prevent further drying and cracking, especially in areas where the wood has been thinned, hollowed. Introducing water slowly to the canoe's surface allows the fibers to expand uniformly, closing microcracks. This is very important as the sanding process will finish off this task. As we see, the Belladonna beaver is a masterful blend of natural beauty, traditional craftsmanship, and artistic expression. This project transcends its main purpose, serving as a symbol of heritage and the enduring allure of handcrafted artistry. If you liked this video, you can check Thomas J. Elpel's channel, where you'll find more amazing content.